All right, we're live. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to our UFC 202 pre-fight show. It has fucking finally arrived. We've been waiting for, honestly, we've been waiting for this fight for a minute. It was supposed to be happening with UFC 200. Conor McGregor decided he didn't want to do press conferences, and Dana White had to put his foot down, so he canceled that fight. But we finally get the fight, UFC 202. Diaz versus McGregor 2. Diaz obviously is 1-0 against him, and we're gonna find out if it's gonna be, if it was gonna be if McGregor will even the score, or if we're going to get a 2-0 type of performance here for Diaz. But, of course, we'll get plenty of time to go through that. Of course, this is UFC 202 pre-fight show presented by CrossBonesMMA. My name is Eddie Law. We got Jesse Ruvalcaba out of California, CA, my friend, going out with the actually, you're not in your Pokestop van today, so that's a change, but that's probably better.
Yeah, I have the day off, so I get to stay at home, chill, relax,
and not be
watch these crazy embedded and the weigh-ins today. All that stuff is great.
Yeah.
If you're a fight fan, today was a good day.
Oh yeah, you enjoy the shit out of that. Even the UFC 204 press conference they had, all the Irish were there, and they did not give a fuck. They were just singing songs all the time, which honestly I can appreciate.
Were they just like handing out like drinks everywhere? Were they just handing out like free drinks? Because those guys sounded hammered.
You know what?
Hammered by the time those weigh-ins came on.
If there's anything you can say about the Irish, they know how to fucking party, for sure. Joining us at ABQ, David Rodriguez from ESPN Radio. What's up, man?
What's happening, guys? We finally made it. The fight that I said that possibly wouldn't go down, well, it's going down. But
hey, we got hours.
Yeah, where's Nick at? Where's Nick at now?
Yeah, right. Where's Nick? Yeah, we got hours to wait, so you never know.
That's fucked up. They didn't let him in the weigh-ins, man. Like, what kind of shit is that? Like, on this type of stage, this big fight, I mean, they're really trying to hate on old Nick Diaz, not let him in the building? Come on now.
Nah, come on, man. You know Nick Diaz would have thrown down right there with all those cops and everything.
He doesn't give a fuck.
And then we would have seen a Mexican get beat up by a bunch of white cops. Not good.
No, dude, it's I don't know. The keeping Nick Diaz out of that is weird. On top of it, they said that he's not allowed to corner Nate because of a fine that he hasn't paid yet. Now his manager says that might change. Who knows? But it's look, man. Nate's fought without him in the corner the last 2 fights and he won. So I don't think it's gonna be a big issue. Yeah. Plus he had Gilbert Melendez with him at the weigh-ins. He's gonna have Richard Perez, his boxing coach. He's gonna have everybody that he needs really that he's had for the last 2-3 fights. Yeah. Jake Shields will be there, so they'll be ready. By the way,
guys right there, that's all you need, man. That's all you need in a scrap. If you got Gil and Jake in your corner, you're set, dude.
Yeah, Jake's about to throw. Jake, first not to real quick, we're gonna get to the first fight of UFC 202, so I apologize for anyone waiting for that one. But not only did Jake Shields throw coffee, he tried to throw a laptop. Okay, he reached for a fucking laptop. Now people that say that he was trying to steal it, you guys are idiots. Jake Shields got money for that shit. Okay, that's dumb as fuck. Okay, he was trying to throw a goddamn laptop. All right, if you're trying to get suspended by the NSAC, you throw a fucking laptop. All right, it was like that shit got crazy. That dude fucking whoever owned the fucking laptop turned real quick and he's like, hey, what the fuck? And he grabs it. He looked at him like he just tried to touch his balls and shit. I'm like, what the fuck? Like it was funny as hell. But we'll talk about all that when we get to the main event. So let's kick it off here. UFC Fight Pass early prelims begin at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 3:30 p.m. Pacific Time, with Alberto Uda out of Brazil and Marvin Vettori out of Italy. So it's always kind of weird to get these kind of matchups, right? Usually we get on the U.S. card, we get U.S. Well, not really, not a lot, but no, I was kind of expecting a different kind of fight. Brazil against Italy. Jesse, what do you know about these guys?
Pretty much. I mean, I think we always talk about how they start fights, right? And I think this whole card, I think low-key is one of those cards where you're probably going to be impressed with everybody you see on this card. If you don't know who they are, you're probably going to know who they are after their fight, whether they win or lose. I think all these fights have the potential to be really, really good fights, banger of fights, pretty much. I mean, I can only think of maybe 1 or 2 fights that might even go to a decision, and that's a might. But between these two guys, I mean, we're looking at a guy who in his debut went up against Jake Haller. I believe he lost that fight, and that's the only loss he had on his record. That's Alberto Uda. And then Marvin on the other side, apparently a good high top prospect out of Italy. One of these guys that is just really, really hailed by the Italians over there, saying that he's the next best thing. Basically, they're trying to put him up as the next Conor McGregor, basically, where, he's got an array of attacks. He's really good in submissions. I think he's got 7 wins by submissions, a couple of TKOs in there. So, I mean, he's a pretty well-rounded guy. The only thing is that he's going up against a guy coming out of Novo União, out of Brazil, basically the top camp, probably for a Brazilian you can basically come out of. And I think that's what's going to be the big thing here. The other thing is that he's already been in the UFC, been on this type of venue before. He's been to the big show. Marvin, on the other side, he hasn't been to this big show, and especially since it's in the new T-Mobile Arena. Yeah. I mean, this is a big arena. It holds 20,000 people. 20,000 people. Which, by the way, they had to slash prices on the tickets to fill that thing up.
Yeah,
so
yeah, they did. So
tickets were slow. But still, I mean, $240 to go watch Conor McGregor from the nosebleeds, that is not appealing to anybody. No. But nope. I think Uda's going to take this fight just based on the fact that he's a little bit more well-rounded. He's got a little bit more seasoning, you could say, and he's on a run. Just having one loss, those UFC jitters are gone, and I think now we're going to see the best out of him, and I think this is going to be a great fight.
Definitely. Now, shout out here to Andrew Reed. I appreciate you tuning in, man. I know it's probably late as fuck over where you're at, but, you kind of used to it from watching any kind of UFC cards. So, but Andrew Reed says, morning, motherfuckers. And then talking about who's going to be in Nate Diaz's corner. One guy I forgot about. I can't believe I forgot about him, Chrome Gracie. Chrome Gracie's in his corner at all times. I mean, why not have the son of the great Rickson Gracie on your corner? It's not a bad deal. And then he says, talking about this fight, the Italian will start losing, then change sides, which is kind of funny. If you think about history, I love when he brings that shit. As far as Vettori goes, I mean, you're right. He's on a 5-fight win streak out of Bellator FC. Anyone that doesn't know about Bellator was that promotion that signed Mayhem Miller, and then had his back when he got in trouble, and then he got more trouble, and then he came in 20 pounds over the limit or some shit like that, and it was such a just weirdness with that promotion.
My favorite part about that whole thing was he goes like this, like. And then he still took off his underwear like that was going to be the 20 pounds that he was over, right?
Yeah, maybe he had a massive shit in there, but that doesn't make any sense. Anyway, but look, in this fight, I agree with you. I'm a big believer in UFC jitters. Maybe this kid, it won't affect him too much, but Uda's been there. He understands what to expect and everything. So I'm also picking Uda. Dave, what do you see in this fight, man?
Yeah, Jesse made a lot of great points. I mean, we always we're talking about, the UFC jitters. I mean, especially this specific card. I mean, Conor McGregor, Nate Diaz too, kicking the show off. I think it's the U.S. debut that for Marvin Vettori. So he's always fought overseas. So you mentioned the Bellator, which he was previously affiliated with. I think he had a pretty good submission win over Igor Araujo, his last win. It's a pretty tough Brazilian there that he took care of. Looks like he has some pretty nasty ground game. He's got leg lock submissions. I mean, he's a young cat coming out of King's MMA. I think, with the steady approach, and game planning there, and especially for this bout here, it looks to be pretty exciting. I think Vettori could pull this fight off. Uda does have the UFC experience. He's got the one loss. I guess he said it's kind of, he shake it off with the loss, and then he's definitely 10-1 guy. He's only one lot. 32-year-old guy coming out of Novo União. I think this is going to be a pretty exciting bout. I think Vettori gets the job done here. I think he's going to showcase what he's all about, the young stud. I think Uda will make it interesting. I think both these guys the fight's going to go everywhere, and I think Vettori does enough to get the job done, probably by decision, I'm thinking.
Yeah, I mean, look, if the hype on Vettori is legit, we could get another sick edition of 185. I mean, the kid's even if you see him, his picture, he's jacked. So as long as he's not on the Mexican supplements or the Italian supplements, he'll be all right. What? It's Mexican supplements. It's the same, motherfucker. I'm not on them shits, all right? I'd probably sell them at some point, maybe later on if they're legal. Anyway, if you go to Tijuana, that shit's legal. Just drive over the border, motherfuckers, all right? Just don't get caught by USADA. They'll fuck you, clearly. Anyway, moving on to the next fight on the UFC Fight Pass prelims. We got Colby Chaos Covington against Max Payne Griffin. If those nicknames aren't painful for you, then you haven't watched fights long enough, motherfuckers. All right, kicking off here with Max Griffin. Max Griffin 12-2. He's on a 2-fight win streak out of WFC. Last fought in January this year. He's out of Sacramento, California. Not Team Alpha Male, but it's called Marin Noble's martial arts. So he's kind of like an independent-ish kind of guy. But I mean, 12-2. He likes to punch people. He's got 6 knockouts, TKOs on his record. Only 2 submission wins, 4 decisions on there. He's gotten a decision a couple times, not too much. And again, all these guys that come in with these streaks, right, where it's like, oh, finish. They come in the UFC and it's like decision. It's really, really difficult to finish guys in the UFC. So people that bitch about, oh, so everyone gets finished in Bellator, no one gets finished in the UFC, way different level of competition. I don't give a fuck what anyone says about that. This is what it is, right? It's hard to finish people in the UFC. If you're in the UFC, it's fucking reason. Unless you're CM Punk, then it's just because you're, you get people to watch. This is kind of what it is.
Damn.
Anyway, what?
I haven't even seen him fight yet.
Whatever, you watch that. We're gonna get on a tangent here, but watch that first episode of
I've seen it. I've seen it. Come on, he didn't come in saying that he was the greatest ever. I mean, he knew he was a rookie. I mean, come on, give him at least the respect that he keeps saying that he's a nobody and he's just doing what he wanted to do for a long time. He just wants to be in the UFC. Hey, props. That's all I gotta say.
I want to be in the UFC too, motherfucker, but Dana White ain't fucking let me in with the 0-0 record.
Hey, if you go over to WWE and work out really good, and then win a championship, and then get out of their contract, and come over here with like 2-3 million fans, go ahead. They'll let you in. They'll let you walk right into the UFC.
Fucking business side of the UFC. It's disgusting sometimes. Anyway, Colby Covington, 28 years old, out of Springfield, Oregon, and of course ATT. He won his last fight against Jonathan Maynard. Yeah, Maynard. However you say that shit name. There you go. By rear naked choke in the third round. This is the Rory Wonder Boy card, if you remember, back in June. Before that was submitted by Warley Alves. Look, this kid he's a submission guy, right? That's only won by a submission decision. Never knocked anybody out. So you know what you're gonna get from him. You know what he's gonna try to do to you. He will stand with you a little bit, and basically the way to beat him is to hurt him, quite badly. That's just kind of the only way you're gonna beat Colby. I like Colby. I like that he has potential, but he's 28 years old, and in my opinion, unless you get that strike game going and developing, maybe get your ass over to, I fucking hate to keep saying it, but a King's MMA type of place where the striking is fucking legit. It's kind of hard to. ATT's got strikers. I'm not gonna lie. They got is it Henry Hoof over in Florida?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Henry Hoof in Florida, legit. But I mean, look, the kid's his hands need work, but he does have that ground game. And if you can get Max Griffin to the ground, it could be a fun little scrap there from there. But I am going to go ahead and pick Colby Covington because Max Griffin has 0 UFC experience, and Colby's been around for, like Kirby likes to say, a month of Sundays. So I'm picking the younger cat here. He's younger by like 2 years. So Dave, what you seen this fight?
Yeah, I love that. Earlier watching the weigh-ins, both these guys got pretty heated. I love that shit. Whenever it's a sign of things to come. So I think this fight has the potential to be, somewhat of a fight of the night candidate here. The Max Griffin, I think he's got a lot of KOs and chokes on his resume, so look for him, to possibly, win the bout via KO or submission, even though Colby is, definitely a ground specialist. But he's got an all-around game. Colby unfortunately had that setback from Warley Alves, which, like you said, Eddie, you kind of have to hurt him and hurt him bad and jump on him because, he's definitely a big favorite in this fight. Both these guys are 4-1 in their last 5, so with Colby being the heavy favorite just on experience alone, I think he gets the job done here because, with his only setback of Warley Alves, he'd be in a much high-profile bout had he not suffered that setback. So, but Max Griffin, like I said, lots of KOs, heated weigh-ins. I think he might, swing wild and could catch Colby and put him away. He definitely has the capability on the ground as well. So, definitely go with Colby Covington, ranked number 36 world in welterweight currently right now.
All right, and Jesse, you and I, for the most part, we usually agree on UFC jitters is the real thing, ring rust is the real thing, and it does affect you, especially if you're, if you're jumping in there and you have a wild style, kind of like Max Griffin does, where he likes to throw hands like that. Those wild guys, they get lucky once in a while, but for the most part, a jiu-jitsu guy like a Colby Covington is gonna be like, yeah, okay, miss, take down, you're done, right? Now, Max Griffin does have submission wins, don't get it twisted, but it's not against UFC caliber guys. So who are you picking in this fight?
I'm actually I got convinced by one of his training partners of Max Griffin, which is George Masvidal, and Masvidal talked him up pretty well, saying that he's definitely ready for this step, and that he basically said he was going to piece up Colby Covington. I don't know about that. It's a pretty big jump in competition from where he was at. And again, making his UFC debut, that's a big thing. We always talk about that. You just mentioned it. I mean, it's a huge thing. I mean, I'm picking against the guy that the Italians are saying is the next Conor McGregor just because it's his first fight in the UFC. You know, it's definitely something that everybody has to take into consideration. The first fight in the big show, it's a shocker. But I mean, being with Masvidal, a guy that really knows the game very well, he's real crafty. He really knows how to make a style of fight that wins in fights or cuts it really close, and then he kicks himself for not pushing that extra little bit. So to me, I mean, we've seen him before. He's tried to get into the UFC before. He tried to get on the Tough Season 16. He tried out, lost the fight getting into the house against Matt Secor, a guy that who knows where he's at now, right? But again, he's a scrappy guy. He's learned from his mistakes, and I think making it into this fight, I mean, it shows the progression he's made. He's got hands. He's got the groundwork. To me, it just comes down to, you know, if he's mentally there and focused enough to, you know, do his game, I think he'll be able to really put a game on him, on Colby Covington that, you know, I don't think Covington's going to be prepared for. So to me, I'm picking Griffin. And a little side tangent note, man, these dudes from the, what is it, the commission changing the rules and regulations. I had a chance today on MMA Junkie. I had a chance to ask Masvidal about, you know, if he's happy with the rules and regulation change that they had, and he knew nothing about that. They really need to educate the fighters more on these things, because these are all to their advantage. You know, being able to game plan better, being able to, you know, implement knees to, you know, people that are trying to just play the game and aren't down opponents. Just so many different aspects of their MMA game is going to change, and they're not aware of these things. I mean, more of these fighters need to get educated, and, you know, I guess it might have to be, you know, us, media, you know, just other people trying to educate these fighters. But I mean, you know, Masvidal is a guy that's a smart dude, and I think he'd be one of those guys that'd be on top of this stuff.
Yeah.
That's a tangent, but again, I'm going with Griffin just because Masvidal sold me on him today.
Yeah, and if anybody watched, or for anybody that watched real quick, Jesse went to Combate Americas last weekend. If anybody that listened to those, the interview, a certain professional fighter had no clue, and neither did her coach. He had no clue about the new changes. So, I mean, I don't know what's going on.
Some real famous fighter named Uliana Enya.
Yeah, something like that. It rhymes with that. Rhymes with that. Anyway.
Hey, and like to add to that, a little side note, like Jesse referenced the Tough Season that Max Griffin fought on. I mean, there's a couple badasses that are still currently fighting. I mean, my man Sadawad fought on that season. Neil Magny fought on that season. Who else? There's like Colton Smith. There's a couple guys, David Machoud. So that's why that's a while back. But yeah, Max Griffin did have his time in the Fighter House, or in the Ultimate Fighter setting there. So yeah, but also Neil Magny on this card. I thought I'd reference that going back a little bit.
Definitely. And speaking of Neil Magny, guess who's a featured prelim, fight pass prelim fight now? Again, they're starting to get these prelim or fight pass prelim fights to make them a little bigger, make them matter a little more. And you know, obviously it's a business thing, right? Get more people to get interested in fight pass. This is a good fucking fight, man.
Is this worth your $10 a month though?
This fight alone?
Yeah.
Not this fight alone, but it's definitely worth like the 7 day free trial, and then you can get fight pass.
Well, if you've already used that up, man, I'm saying like. I'm saying that if the UFC was like, hey, we're putting on this fight alone, $10, would you pay for it?
Look, man, it's a nice incentive, and look, I wish I got paid by UFC to say this shit, but just the fact that they have like EBI and all these other promotions is enough for my $10 a month. Cause I mean, if I'm not watching, you know, fights or, you know, maybe something interesting on Netflix or like SportsCenter, football maybe it's on, it's like Fight Pass, and I watch Fight Pass. I watch like 2-3 fights a day, literally, like just to like catch up on fighters and just watch old fights that I like. But yeah, I mean, look, you're right. It's a good point. You know what I mean? But it seems to be working. Their numbers have been going up. So it's especially that Dos Anjos Alvarez card, which ended up being pretty damn good, and then the main event was just insane. So it paid off for that one for sure. All right, moving on to the featured UFC Fight Pass prelim number 7. Welterweight, Neil Magny against Lawrence Larkin. Now, Lawrence Larkin did weigh in, I think, last second, and he made weight, which I was surprised as hell. Usually that guy is, like, kind of iffy. You're just like, I don't know, this motherfucker. But as far as Lawrence Larkin go, I mean, a guy that has fought everybody. He's fought Robbie Lawler. He just came off a win over Jorge Masvidal by split decision, which I didn't agree with, to be honest with you, but I'm a Masvidal fan, so what can I say? Lost out Albert Tumanov, has a win over a promising prospect in Santiago Ponzinibbio, the Argentinian. You know, beat John Howard. Had that 3-fight losing streak, which is kind of weird for him, but This guy's got hands. 10 knockouts, no submissions, 7 decisions. This guy likes to throw them. Neil Magny, on the other hand, is a very tall, the kind of lanky but rangy kind of guy. Has a striking, but what I like about him the most is his ability to go to the ground. You know what I mean? Neil Magny does have 3 submissions on his record. You can't take him down if you want to, but he will at least put you in dangerous spots and use that ground game to hit you on the ground and get you in trouble. So again, it's kind of a weird fight because number 7 ranked and an unranked fighter that has that's coming off. He's basically on a 1-fight win streak. Neil Magny, had he not lost to Damian Maia, you could say should have fought for a title by now. But as stacked as 170 is, what are you gonna do? So just to start here off with you, man, what do you think about this fight?
Wow. I just talked up George Masvidal as being a really, really smart technical guy, and really it showed in that fight. I mean, I agree with you. I think that was kind of a BS decision. I think Masvidal really controlled that fight pretty well. But on the other side, I mean, Larkin really, really, utilizing his full range of attacks. I mean, he just kept Masvidal guessing at pretty much the whole fight. Didn't really do a lot in that fight, but still just basically like stifled Masvidal to make him kind of look like he wasn't being as effective apparently to the judges. That being said, I mean, like you said, I mean, Larkin, you know what he's coming with. He's coming to knock you out, and that's pretty much what he's gonna do. He's got a lot of power behind that. The only reason I would have picked Larkin before, if I hadn't have seen Neil Magny's last fight against Hector Lombard. Was it the last fight? It was the last fight, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think so, right? So because of that fight, there's no way I could ever pick against Neil Magny, no matter who he's fighting. I mean, if you can take the shots that he took from Hector Lombard, come back after basically a 10-8 round, and then be able to put in a 10-7 round and then finish off Hector Lombard, I mean, that was just all heart, all like just grit and guts and everything. I mean, he showed that he has the heart of a true champion. And I think he's really on his way to the top. I really think that he's got a great wrestling game. His clinch game is awesome. And he's just got cardio for days. I mean, that dude does not get tired. So I think the world of Neil Magny now after that fight, and I just don't see how Larkin is going to be able to put him away. If Hector Lombard hit him with those big shots and couldn't put him away, I don't see anybody in that division putting him away.
Look, man, watching that fight, I was surprised, motherfucker, pun intended, at that Lombard didn't finish him off. Like, I really was, and I was hyped for Neil Magny. I mean, I like Neil Magny. I like watching this dude fight because people, even now, ranked number 7 and on the streak that he was until he fought Damian Maia, people still didn't think of him, like, he didn't think he was shit. They were just like, yeah, it's Neil Magny. Whoever will take him out. If Hector Lombard, I'll take him out. Couldn't do it. Neil Magny's legit. People need to start recognizing that. Dave, what do you think about this fight, man?
Yeah, lots of great points, you guys. I mean, I like how Jesse said, after the Lombard fight, it's real tough to pick against Neil Magny. He showed to be, real tough and a tough contender, tough customer right here at the top half of the welterweight division, which is super stacked. He's ranked number 7, 4-1 in his last 5, with his only loss being Damian Maia. So, I mean, can't knock him for that. Everybody, kind of loses to Damian Maia, and at the point he's at now, he's got a matchup set up with Carlos with title implications on the line. Neil Magny is the dark horse. I mean, with the win here, I mean, it puts him in a real nice position in the welterweight division. So the similarities of these guys are they both fight similar fights. I mean, they're always close, always razor thin. I think Larkin's got definite speed and power in his hands. Neil Magny, can weather the storm. He showed that against Hector Lombard. But the clinch and on the feet, that's where Lorenz Larkin's going to be dominant. I take a lot of stock into the KOing of Ponzinibbio. He's got great hands. Ponzinibbio is a beast. So this is a razor-thin close fight. I think Lorenz Larkin's got a good shot to outwork Magny and possibly pull a decision out here. But it's very, very close. I wouldn't be surprised if it was flip-flopped in that aspect. But minus 125 favorite Magny, plus 105 of near even for Larkin. So exciting matchup. Very, very excited to check this one out.
Yeah, close fight, exciting styles, really. I like Magny. I mean, Larkin could catch him. He definitely could catch him. You never know. Maybe he has more power than Lombard. Maybe he gets lucky or something. Lance is just right on the button. But you're right. The fact that Hector Lombard couldn't finish him. And Magny's who showed heart in every fight he's been in. He showed mad heart. He's been hurt before. He's been dropped. And he just pops back up and finds a way to win. It's an impressive thing to see from Neil Magny. and I don't think it's gonna stop. I think this kid's gonna keep going. So I'm also picking Magny. I couldn't tell you how it's gonna go, but I would think that Magny's be able to finish that fight on the ground at some point. You got 3 rounds to do it, and Larkin does like to throw heavy, and as we've seen before, you throw heavy early, try to finish that fight quick, you can gas out. So, and I think pretty sure we've seen Larkin gas out a few times. So we'll see what happens tomorrow night. So again, that is the UFC Fight Pass prelims that start early as all kinds of fuck. Let me find out the time again. 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 3:30 p.m. Pacific time. Moving on here to the FS1 prelims. Luckily, it's FS1. Everybody hopes there's no fucking baseball game or no NASCAR race that's gonna hold up that whole channel. Because once again, nobody has FS2. Nobody. Nobody. If you have FS2, you're overpaying. Well, you're overpaying. Congratulations. Congratulations. You're overpaying, motherfucker. All right. That's like a backup. Unless you like watching ping pong, you're not having it. You don't have FS2. This is what it is. All right. You want to watch ping pong? Is that shit? Andrew Reed's taking Magny as well. So, there we go. So again, FS1 prelims. Starting off with the ladies here, we got number 13 ranked. And to be honest with you, the rankings in at least the strawweight division don't really mean a lot anymore. But this is too brand new, and the records don't make no sense, right? As far as the records go. But number 13 ranked strawweight Randa Marcos, a quiet storm. Of course, we know her story. Born in Iraq, moved to Canada, and is now training. Or was training in Michigan. I think she went back up to Canada, right? Anyone know about that?
I think she's training out of a Michigan top team, the
Michigan still?
Darren Cruikshank's gym, yeah.
Cast Iron, Courtney Casey. And by the way, before the pre-fight show, and I'm not going to fucking throw this out there because it's going to confuse everybody. When I was talking about that, I meant Phillips, not Casey, all right? My bad. All right, and even that's a little but still, all right? So we'll talk about this after the show, motherfuckers, all right? Because y'all were clowning me. You were clowning me like an asshole, all right? Anyway, Courtney Casey, 29 years old, out of Phoenix, Arizona. Freak Animal Fitness, which I don't know what that is. I'm assuming she doesn't train here, so I'm not sure. But 5-3, has 3 fights in the UFC. She's 1-2, lost to C.O. Heham and Joanne Calderwood, which are decision losses. Which in the strawweight division, unless you're in the higher ups, you're not really finishing many people. In fact, the women's division don't finish a lot of people, but it's kind of expected. Unless of course you're Holly Holm or Ronda Rousey or Miesha Tate, and now Amanda Nunes, who's knocking bitches out like a motherfucker. But
and Chris Cyborg.
I'm not counting Chris Cyborg. She's 145. That's Vanderlei. That's Vanderlei with a wig. Don't fuck around.
Oh my god.
I'm kidding. Chill the fuck out. Don't fucking tweet me and email me and shit. All right. Send that shit to somebody else. I don't hate.
They're all coming your way already.
I'm sure they are. Okay, but by the way, someone is controlling Chris Cyborg's Twitter because she does not. Her English is not that good. I'm sorry. I just can't. I can't take it seriously. It's too clear. It's no. All right. I don't give a fuck. If it's coming anyway, I'm going to earn it, all right? Anyway, Randa Marcos, 31 years old, out of Ontario, just like Dave said, training over at Michigan top team, 6-3. She's 4 fights in the UFC. She's 2-2. So she's actually a pretty heavy fan favorite. A lot of people like Randa Marcos, big fan of hers. Of course, Jesse's like, nah, whatever. But wins over Jocelyn Jones Lieberger in her last fight by decision, which I expected more out of Lieberger coming out of MMA lab and all that, and so I was kind of disappointed in her performance. I think she's shown up doing the best she could. I don't think Randa Marcos wins that fight, but she'll also be Aslan Daly, which outside of Ireland, who doesn't, and then of course the losses to Carolina, who just beat Doug Rose and pretty much got herself a title shot, and Jessica Panay in her first fight, that split decision loss. So Randa Marcos and Casey, it's kind of a up in the air fight in my opinion. But Dave, what do you think?
Yeah, definitely up in the air. It's a tough fight to pick here. Courtney Casey, like we were talking about, she came off the pretty impressive first-round KO of Christina Stanciu. She got her out of there pretty quickly, and I think it was a fight where Courtney Casey had lost. She possibly could have been possibly out of the UFC. But 3-2 in her last 5. Randa Marcos is at 2-3. Marcos is number 12 ranked in that currently in the division. I think Marcos' losses are to Rose, Jessica Panay, and I believe Carolina. So she's fought some tough competition, and in those losses, I mean, in this division, this is kind of a fight where Courtney Casey has to win and earn her keep, and somewhat likewise the same fashion Randa Marcos. But I think Randa Marcos has got more ways to win this fight. I think on the ground, I think Casey's pretty good on the ground as well. She's got ground game definitely, but I think Marcos is just going to have a little bit more tricks and a little bit more ways to win the fight. Absolutely. I see Randa Marcos handling business probably most likely by a decision, I would have to say.
Yeah, like I said, not a lot of finishes in that division, especially. But I'm with it. And what I like about Randa Marcos is she, quiet storm, but she can weather the storm for the most part. You can come at her with a lot of things, and you might hurt her, but still, it's kind of weird. And Mike Jarvis corrected me here on the YouTube saying Misha only finished one person, and so did Holly. Right, but that's kind of my point. The only ones that finished people so far have been Misha, Holly, Ronda, and Nunez. Everyone else's decision. So in the bantamweight division, shut up. Anyway, in the bantamweight division, all right, chill with your Kings MMA bullshit. All right, you don't even have your RDA hat on. I want to hear your shit. Anyway, but yeah. So this fight's it's kind of one of those. So well, Jesse, what do you think about this one? Since we want to keep interrupting with your cyborg shit.
So Cyborg, I think her next fight's gonna be pretty. Honestly, to me, this is one of those fights where I'm just picking with my heart. And my heart says that I was a fan of Randa Marcos, and I got disappointed with her in her performances. I think she should be farther ahead in her performances than she has been. She's been letting me down, and I really am just down on her right now. And I think Courtney Casey is catching her at this point where she's not doing as well as she should. And I think Casey's going to be hungry enough to come in here and probably disrupt her rise, her quiet rise to the top here. I just see that Casey is gonna have to be able to be a little bit quicker to the punches. She's got 3 TKOs on her record plus 2 submissions, so she's well-rounded enough where wherever the fight goes, she's gonna be able to handle herself. I just believe that she's gonna be able to do much more. In all around the MMA, aspect. She's going to be able to strike with Ronda. She's going to be able to, take her to the ground. She's going to be able to avoid the jiu-jitsu that Ronda brings. So I think it's just going to be, one of those fights where we're going to see both women bring, everything they have, and whoever's, pretty much stuff is better, who I think Casey's got the better skills at this point. I think she's going to be able to overwhelm Randa Marcos in the end. Yeah,
I mean, and like I said, quite possibly. And you know what? Now that you mention it, I've kind of been on the same boat with Randa Marcos. Fan of hers and everything, hoping, and expecting good things from her, and just somehow she just never, kind of. It's like she tries to, and during the fight, you're like, oh, here it comes, and then no, nothing. It's like in between rounds, she forgets she was doing something.
It's like her motivation kind of leaves her a little bit. It's like she kind of feels like, okay, I got this fight in the bag. I'll just cruise. And I just kind of feel like she could do a lot more. I almost think she could have more finishes on her record.
Yeah.
Just the way she starts off her fights. It's just the way she ends fights. She leaves it to a decision, or just doesn't. Just kind of quits in there. So.
Which is never a good thing in any weight class in any fight.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And Mike Jarvis.
We'll get to the quitting later, I bet.
Oh,
right?
Oh yeah, exactly. Anyway, Mike Jarvis saying on YouTube, Ronda only lost because of her dumbass coach and the UFC BS marketing push. I have to agree with that. But you know what? One thing real quick on that point that I was impressed with McGregor on, he turned down a multi-million-dollar movie role to focus on fighting and training. He's not an idiot. All right, he's not a dumbass. He's a smart guy that knows what the fuck he's doing. He knows that he wants to be a fighter. He should be a fighter and leave that shit till later on. But anyway, we're fucking going off here. Let's talk about the next fight here. Actually, real quick, picking Ronda Marcos by decision, just because I'm a dumbass that does pick with his heart still. So it is what it is. I like Ronda Marcos
on this fight. Do we have to talk about this next fight?
We do have to talk about this next fight because it's funny. It's at least funny. It's at least funny.
It's a hell of a fucking fight.
Oh, it's a great fight, but it's at least fun. All right. One of McGregor's teammates, it's Team Diaz against Team McGregor in this one. Artem Lubov, the Russian Hammer, against Chris Avila, making his UFC debut. Avila, of course, training out of Lodi, California. Nick Diaz fight team. Team Diaz, Nate Diaz, all that. Yeah, 209 motherfuckers. What? Nah. But Avila, he's 5-2 in his career, making his UFC debut. He has 3 fights in a row, but again, they're not they're not against UFC caliber fighters. And but he's pretty young from what I remember. He's 3 knockouts, 1 submission, 1 decision win. Obviously, the 2 losses are there. Meanwhile, Artem Lubov is look. And earlier I tweeted, wow, Lubov. I always knew Lubov was an idiot, but wow. This dude, you know what he said? He said the shit that the Diaz brothers and Scrap Pack and all those guys, Team Diaz basically pulled at the press conference with the water balls and everything was as fake as Pamela Anderson's tits. Like, dude, you would fucking know. You know why? Because I know you're not training. You're too busy checking off to the internet shit, motherfucker. Like, you would know what those look like. So, like,
yeah, people nowadays probably are like, who the fuck is Pamela Anderson?
Exactly.
They don't even know who Pamela Anderson is, so I don't know where that came from.
Exactly. He could probably go get Pamela Anderson tonight. All right, that's how fucking old that is. All right, it is, it's. But I can't say that guy. But 2 fights in the UFC, both losses, both decision losses. So the guy's durable. He can't take a shot. He can't give it. Chris Avila, no UFC, experience. Jitters are real. It's a hard fight to pick, but the animosity's there. The team, the team animosity's there. Those two guys clearly don't like each other. We're throwing water bottles at each other and shit. And the shit talk's gonna be there. Of course, Avila shit talk, it makes a little more sense. Lubov just blobs and shit. I really do feel like he's been hammered in the head a million times. So let's go here with Dave, man. What do you think about this fight? 2 relatively new to UFC guys. One has 2 fights, at least 2 fights under his belt in the UFC. One coming in, on kind of a weird situation that Nate Diaz basically asked or demanded the UFC bring him in. So what do you think about this one?
Yeah, like you said, that's pretty much how the fight, how it came about. Is just, Dana went to Stockton, was planning on booking this rematch with Conor and Nate tonight or tomorrow night, and then he said, hey, let my homie get up in there, and Chris Avila was the guy. They said, and Artem Lubov, I guess he belongs in the UFC. I guess as long as he's affiliated with Conor for now. So I don't know what a loss does to him or a win does for Chris Avila in this bout, but such a weird fucking fight. Artem, shit, he just like. He seems like he looks in real great shape. I'll give him that. He looks in fantastic shape. He failed miserably in his trash talk, so he kind of should have just kept quiet about that. The whole fucking press conference fallout and all that, I don't know what he was trying to even comment about. He should be focusing on this fight because Chris Avila is coming in on a debut, which is going to be important for him to to showcase a great performance if he wants to stay. Artem, if he gets starched and Avila is the guy to starch him, and that's the way it plays out. I'd never want to see Artem Lobov again in any fight again.
Never.
So, you got Chris Avila, 23 years old. I believe he's competed in the World Series of Fighting and Bellator before. I don't think he's ever been finished. He's got a lot of subs and KOs on his record. So, I think there's a possibility he could finish Lobov. Lobov, man, the guy is just. I don't understand how he just keeps getting fights. It's just. I understand the 209 and the Conor thing, but. This guy's basically he's just not a UFC guy. I don't know where he belongs, but hopefully Avila can get in there and show him what's up. He's going to have a sick reach advantage too. Avila, it kind of showed itself at the weigh-ins when they did the stare down. So I think Avila, if he's able to hold himself on the feet, I think he's likely to hand Artem Lobov a beating, and I think he's going to go to a decision. I think if Avila, puts it on him early, he could probably finish him though. And Artem's not an easy guy to finish. I think he's only been finished a couple of times, and he's got a shit ton of fights too, and I think he got finished way back in the day. So he's a tough customer too. But I like Chris Avila in this fight. Strange fight, but we all know the backstory, and hopefully it's a good win for Avila and get the momentum started for the 209 tomorrow night.
Yeah, and look, man, it's hard to get finished when you don't have much of a fucking brain in your head anyway. It's just all fucking mush and liquid in there. So I'm sure there's plenty of protection fucking for his head, that fucking dumb shit. I know people are going to hate me on it, but I don't care. All right, I can't stand it. The guy's an idiot. He's a fucking idiot. But I tell you what, I don't know. I don't know how he's still in there. McGregor's clearly the reason he's still in the UFC. A loss here though, pink slip. Especially if they both lose. But if Lobov loses, like he can say whatever he wants to Dana and Joe Silva and all those guys are gonna be like, yeah, no, dude, nope, not happening.
Yeah, because I think if Avila loses, I think he doesn't fight in the UFC again. That's why I said it's kind of more interesting. If Avila loses, what they do with him. But Artem in a win, where the fuck do you go with Artem Lobov in a win over Chris Avila? So, but then again, we shall see. I guess if Conor wins too, then I guess that keeps Artem in the UFC for the time being as well, right? Yeah,
maybe. Again, it all depends. And Mike Jarvis saying, where's Kirby? Well, Kirby isn't clear. How can I put this? We might be joined by drunk-ass Kirby later on, but we might not, because, the dude's busy enjoying life and in Dayton, which there's not much else to do when you think about it. So we're hoping to get joined by him at some point. We might not. If we do, great. If we don't, whatever. But I was expecting, Connor's biggest, nut hugger to be here. to talk shit back and forth with me because I know he would. So, I'm hoping. Fingers crossed. Keep hoping. All right, tweet him if you want to see what he does. But I don't even know if he has his phone on him anymore. But Jesse, what do you think about this fight, man? Just like Dave was saying, two guys. It's a strange fight. Clearly, there's only one reason this fight's going on. Almost just to hype up the main event more if you want to. But I don't know how much more hype you need. But I do agree with Dave. Avila loses. He does not fight in the UFC. He doesn't because he doesn't have the pedigree. He doesn't have the experience, in my opinion, to stay in there with a loss. With the win, you won. You get to stay. And so it's kind of a weird thing in that aspect. But who are you picking?
I'm going with Avila. I just think that I pretty much just hate Artem Lobov. I mean, he's as
who
smart
doesn't,
as
my friend? Who does not hate Artem Lobov?
They call him the Russian Hammer, right? Yep. He's as smart as a hammer. I think the Hammer might be slightly smarter than him. There's nothing redeemingly good about Artem Lobov. The only good thing you can say about him is that he's got heavy hands. But other than that, I mean, he doesn't know how to adjust his game plan. He doesn't know how to do anything except just throw haymakers.
Yeah.
And the saying hillbilly haymakers applies perfectly to him.
Yep. Because
it's just hillbilly haymakers that he likes to throw, and that's it. He's got no other function other than that. I mean,
it's kind of like sorry, I don't want to interrupt you, Jesse. It's just kind of like how just the Coach Kavanaugh approach. I mean, he's not Greg Jackson over here. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
Artem Lobov, I mean, don't expect him to be adjusting as the fight goes and game planning for a round. I mean, like you said, he goes out there with the Russian hammers and hopes for the best. So kind of mimicking some shit that Conor does in the process as well. So.
Kind of. I think that's kind of true, but I think who's the other guy that's Gunnar Nelson, right? Gunnar Nelson's the other guy that's from SBG as well, right?
Yeah.
You look at Gunnar Nelson, he mixes everything very well. He has kind of the same style as Conor, but he mixes everything much better than Conor. He's got a better ground game. His takedowns are better. His entries are better. He has a better mixture of everything, and he knows how to put it all together. I think just the thing is that Artem just doesn't learn. I mean, his record speaks for itself. I think he's just barely above a 500 fighter, right? I mean, just barely.
Yeah, I'm not sure let me see his record. He's
11-12.
He's 12-12 according to the UFC. 12-12, one draw and a no contest. This guy sucks.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing there. I mean, if you saw his season of Tough, he was the worst thing about it. Like, he just didn't know anything. And then when he got on the finale, the only reason he got to the finale is he could throw those haymakers. And then at the finale, the jiu-jitsu guy just basically ate him alive. Mm-hmm. He never adjusted his game plan, never attempted to do anything. Yeah, Ryan Hall. Never did anything, didn't even train, looks like, to stop anything that Ryan Hall was going to do to him. It's just, I'm disgusted by Artem. I never want to see this guy ever fight again. Never, ever, ever. Just lock him in a hole somewhere. Just give him a hammer to just hammer stuff down. He's good for that stuff, not for fighting.
With his face.
Or talking.
He should never talk again. But here's the thing. Look, in this fight is to me, just like Dave was saying, it's weird, right? Because it's kind of loser goes home, but there's no winner in this one. Because Lobov wins, what do you do with him next? Avila wins, the next guy might be the one to take him out. You never know, right? It's kind of a weird thing. We don't know much about Avila.
You know what? I think at least we'll get somebody getting KO'd here. At least I think that's what'll happen. Either one of these two guys is gonna get KO'd. I mean, because
And then if it's on the end of Chris Avila, I mean, how horrible would it be a fucking loss to Artem Lobov via KO? So I mean, that's where it gets stranger the more you break it down. That's why it's like Eddie, great point. There's not a winner here, obviously, at some point.
Getting knocked out by Lobov is better than getting decision by Lobov or getting submitted. you know, I mean, at least he did his best thing and he caught you. Oh well. Everybody gets caught. You could at least say that. But I just think, being a Diaz protege, you're in there with Diaz. You have, all the strikers, all the boxing people. Everything that the Diaz have, you also have, and you're younger. And I just think that at least someone's gonna get KO'd. At least we're gonna see that. So, yay.
Yeah. All right. Now, here's the thing about Lobov that I noticed. I watched, because I'll, most part, I'll pick 4 or 5 fights to watch out of the card. I'll watch, 4 or 5 fighters, and I'll watch the previous fights. I actually put myself through a fucking Lobov fight. And what I realized, relax, here's why. What I realized is he goes in with a game plan of throwing hammer, just trying to knock motherfuckers out, right? His coaches tell him to change things up and do something different, and they give him exact points, and he doesn't listen to shit. He just goes in there, goes in hammered, like fucking, he's like, yeah, fuck that Kavanaugh. You don't know jack shit. You totally don't have the featherweight champion as one of your fighters, and you totally didn't help him fucking dominate the 145 division for the most part, and in the last 2-3 years. Totally that didn't happen. I know better than you, Kavanaugh. I'm gonna knock this motherfucker out. And he goes on and loses. He's an idiot. It sucks to say, well, not really, it doesn't suck to say, but it sucks that this guy's in the UFC, to be honest with you. But Avalon decision. That's what I think. I think Avalon decision. And I know we're hoping someone gets knocked out. And Avalon's hands. You watching any of those embeddeds? He's actually in there. Well, not embeddeds. The Rep Hard, the Represent videos. They had that Road to War. They actually had a video of him doing something, and his striking looks all right. So you never know. But I'm taking Avila by decision, and it's kind of that. So all right, moving on to the next fight here. We go back to the ladies. This time in the bantamweight division, number 8 ranked Raquel Pennington against Elizabeth Phillips. If you don't remember who Elizabeth Phillips is, she is the unfortunate, and she unfortunately is the first female fighter to have suffered a Reebok. What do they call those things? Wardrobe malfunction, and it's probably the worst one, right? And it was the worst one. And immediately, the outcry was for Reebok to fix their shit, and they clearly didn't, because then there was like 3 or 4 more. Not as bad as this one, but this is really unfortunate, and fuck, it was pretty bad. But taking on Raquel Pennington here, Elizabeth Phillips out of Spokane, Washington, in Jiu-Jitsu, I believe. Oh, fuck, who else trains out of there? Keep forgetting who, but I think
Juliana Pena, I think, is out of there, and Michael Chiesa.
Mike Chiesa, right? Chiesa? Yeah, I was thinking Chiesa, yeah. Anyways, I think, Chiesa trains out of there for sure. She's 5, and let's see according to UFC what she is. Yeah, 5-3. This is her third fight in the UFC. She's 1-2. Her only one of her Jessamine Duke, but again, who doesn't beat Jessamine Duke these days? And she has 2 losses against Valerie Letourneau and Milana Dudleva by a split decision, both of them. She's kind of hard to figure out. She's well-rounded, but you never really see her skills, in my opinion. You never actually get to see her skills. It's kind of a weird thing. She's kind of one of those weird fighters that tries to do – it's like she's decent at everything, but she's not good at one thing. My opinion, of course, and so it's kind of a weird thing. Raquel Pennington, meanwhile, she brings hands. She brings pretty technical striking, in my opinion. I think she fought Holly Holm, right? And Holly beat her by, split decision or something?
Yeah, it was a close fight, too. A lot of people thought that it was super close, that she even was possibly, the victor in that one.
I thought Pennington won that fight, but I watched it at a bar, so that'll fuck with your shit. Anyway, but she did stay with a legit professional boxer, striker, kickboxer who has won championships in that, and she kept her hands up and stayed with her and possibly beat her. I mean, so decision went to Holm, but she's good. She's good on the hands and everything. She has that. She's 7-5, 1 knockout win in her record, 3 submissions, 3 decisions. Coming off a split decision win over Betch Correia. Of course, Betch Correia, we know her as the Lady Haymaker, just praying to God something lands and that she wins. And she, in my opinion, she got tagged in this one. She got kind of tagged up. She did, give Pennington a fight. It was a split decision win, but she's 2-0. Obviously, she's won her last 2. Before that, beat Jessica Andrade, who is now a strawweight. So is that kind of weird though? How girls are moving up and down a little bit, but Jessica Andrade seems to me like she has a little too much size on her to cut down at 115. So it's gonna be interesting to see her in there. But again, bantamweight fight, women's bantamweight fight. Dave, what do you think?
Man, it's always really super tough to call these 135 women's division bouts. Rocky Pennington, though, I think she's doing the necessary things to improve her game, especially the boxing, and she's ranked number 10 in the world. She's right up there, near the top. So Elizabeth Phillips, I think they have her at 22. Both gals are 3-2 in their last 5. So I think Rocky's a little bit more durable. A lot of her fights do go to a decision, but then again, she's off a 2-5 win streak over Jessica Andrade, who's, like you said, moved weight classes. She's proven to be possibly a contender at a different weight class now. Bete Correia, she won a split decision against her, but she's got some momentum behind her. I like Rocky in this fight. I think, like I said, she's doing the necessary things to, get her career going definitely in a good direction. I mean, she's got a record at 7-5 currently right now. So I think this is where it gets her a good win. keeps her going. I can't confidently say, Elizabeth Phillips has, a definite chance in this fight. But then again, she trains with a pretty good camp. It's her 4th UFC fight. She's got some experience. So with the loss, that I think she possibly could be in that area where she possibly could be cut from the UFC. So I think she'll bring it just in that. But Rocky Pennington gets the job done, more than likely by a decision, but I think she could possibly finish her at some point in the fight too as well.
Yeah, no, definitely. And you know what? I'm taking Rocky in this one as well. Again, Elizabeth Phillips hasn't shown me, in my opinion, hasn't shown enough to convince me she could beat Rocky, who's had a few fights already in the UFC. So I'm picking Miss Pennington as well. Jesse, you there? I don't think he's there.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. We can't see you though.
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. Who are you picking this one? Jesse? Jesse. Oh, okay. Guess we'll have to get him back. Hopefully soon.
We'll get back with Jesse. So we got Tim Means next fight up, right? Okay.
Yep. Moving on to the Tim Means fight. This is no, it's not Tim Means. This is actually Garbrandt. Holy shit.
Oh, it's the Cody Garbrandt. Okay.
FS1 featured prelim fight. It's a baller fight. Could get Garbrandt a title shot. Could, probably will. I think this is a number 8 ranked bantamweight Cody Garbrandt. No love of taking on Takeya Mizugaki. Look, Mizugaki is way more experienced, but we're getting a Cody Garbrandt that just knocked out Thomas Almeida. I mean, fuck. Okay.
Yeah.
Thomas Almeida, everyone thought was gonna be this like super dominant guy. He's the next guy at 135. He's gonna be in there. He's gonna fight Cruz. He's gonna do this. He's gonna do that. He's the next king and all that shit. And then Cody Garbrandt took him the fuck out, dirty. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's this is a good fight. Mizugaki's experienced. People were like, oh, Mizugaki who and all this shit. Garbrandt's gonna knock him out. Mizugaki could legitimately beat him and finish him.
Yeah.
If you haven't watched Mizugaki's fights, go on Fight Pass, go on YouTube, whatever you got to do, watch him. All right, and you won't convince yourself that he'll win, but you'll be like, this is a fight. This is gonna be legit. So, Cody Garbrandt, Mizugaki. Real quick, Jesse, what was your pick on the last fight, Pennington Phillips?
Oh, that's an easy pick, guys. I mean, Pennington all the way. I mean, pretty much everything you guys said. I mean, Phillips, who's the name that she's beaten? Jessamine Duke.
Mm-hmm.
Come on. I mean, yeah. I mean, I think a fly lands on Jessamine Duke and she probably gets knocked out. And she's beaten her twice. Yeah. Once when Jessamine Duke was fairly good, and then more recently. So I mean, she hasn't really, like you said, she has skills. She just never is able to show them all. And it's either because she just doesn't, advance into the other skills she has, or because she finishes the fight quickly, or she gets finished. So I mean, I just don't think that she has anything more than what Holly Holm had to present to Pennington. Pennington just has had the higher level of fighters to contend with, and I think that is what's going to propel her to win this fight. Her hands, her chin, her toughness. I mean, everything. I mean, that fight where she beat up, what was her name? That girl that she bulldog choked nearly to death.
Oh, Ashley Evans Smith.
What's her name? Yeah. There you go. Her. I mean, that was all heart. She was bleeding. She found a way to finish her off right before the round ended. So, I mean, can't go wrong with her.
The only person that was depressed as hell besides Ashley Evans Smith's friends and family, Don Manos is upset. He's a big fan. It's not your beauty. It's not your booty. It's your beauty, right? This kind of thing. Jesse, since you're on it, man, Cody Garbrandt against Mizugaki. Garbrandt is on a roll. He's screaming, begging, crying for that Cruz fight. Cruz is like, fuck it, bring it. Who you picking in this one? Because Mizugaki's dangerous. He's not a bitch. He's dangerous. Tons of experience. Pretty well rounded, in my opinion. It should be a pretty good fight. Who you got?
The only thing I'm picking Garbrandt. I mean, I'm confident enough in my sexuality to say that is one handsome bastard. That guy, when he's dressed to the nines, I'm like, damn, that guy could take any woman he wants. Stay away from my woman. But I mean, Garbrandt, he's got speed, he's got power, he's got youth, he's got everything. Is it enough to beat the champ? Hell no. Give him a good fight? Maybe. They've had a couple cracks at him, so I think they've seen the champ enough times to maybe give him pointers, but who knows? He can't overlook Mizugaki. Mizugaki's tough. He's a veteran. He knows his way around that octagon, and I don't think he ever wants to get beaten like he got beat by Cruz. So I think he's gonna be cautious in this fight. I think he's gonna try to use his range, and try to stifle Garbrandt's speed. Probably clinch up with him. Just try to stop him from just steamrolling him. If Garbrandt can get away from him, use his crisp boxing that he likes to use, I think it's going to be a short night for Mizugaki. So I'm picking Garbrandt. Just don't overlook Mitsugaki.
Yeah, and here's the thing. Garbrandt's going to win. It's going to be devastating. Knockout, hurt him, TKO him, something. It's going to be a devastating kind of win for Cody Garbrandt if Cody wins, right? I mean, he could win decision, whatever, but I think Mizugaki's good. His game plan, in my opinion, should be to make it an ugly fight, make it a grind out, boring fight, to basically stifle, just like Jesse was saying, his Cody's speed and his power. So I'm picking Cody as well, though. Tons of steam. Part of me wants to see him against Cruz to see if he can actually catch Cruz. We all know Cruz's footwork and speed and everything, but I just think Cody's he's riding a wave right now, momentum. It's, in my opinion, unstoppable. Will it be easy? No, but I think it will be a Garbrandt win in this one. And then he'll go home, and Pedro Van Zandt will be like, "Take me back, baby," and then Jesse's gonna be upset. So, yeah. So, Dave, what do you think about this fight, man?
Yeah, it's a great fight. Yeah, Cody Garbrandt, much respect to him. I mean, he train wrecked Thomas Almeida, the Brazilian killer that everybody thought was definitely the next contender. So I think Cody Garbrandt with the win here in impressive fashion sets him up possibly as the contender. I know there is some other guys that are in that mix, in that conversation as well. But Cody's coming in with lots of confidence. I think what's key for him, if he's going to win the fight, is the fight does get ugly, and Mizugaki is able to clinch with him and kind of make him frustrated, in which he kind of stifles his power punching and everything on the feet. We know which way Cody Garbrandt wants to win this fight. But do not sleep on Mizugaki. The guy's got wins over Brian Caraway, Goita Perez. Who else? He's beaten Cisco Rivera. So he's been in there with heavy-handed guys. He's more than capable of making the fight interesting here. So if Garbrandt is looking past Mizugaki and kind of looking towards Cruz and that, I hope he's not, because that's the case here. I think Mizugaki's going to make it an interesting fight and possibly grind it out to, or just a decision happens in which Cody still may win the fight. But it's one of those things where, yeah, Cody Garbrandt can't be overlooking Mizugaki, a veteran guy. I think he hits hard. I think he can hurt Garbrandt too as well. But I think Cody's got a real ton of confidence coming in. Guy's a stud. I think he pretty much presents himself a pretty good case for the 135-pound title shot with an impressive win here, in which I will go with Cody Garbrandt in this fight, absolutely.
All right, so those are your FS1 prelims. Again, FS1 prelims begin 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific time on FS1. If we're lucky enough to not have baseball or fucking some shit like that on FS1, we end up having a, stream FS2, which is weird, right? You have to stream a TV channel to watch fights. It's dumb as shit. Anyway, moving on here to the main card on pay-per-view, 10 p.m. Pacific or Eastern time, 7 p.m. Pacific time. Kicking it off here with Tim, the Dirty Bird Means, against a newcomer, Saba, the Problem, Omasi. Omasi's I think he's a late replacement, I believe. If I'm not mistaken. Pretty late replacement. I want to say 2 weeks, right? 2 weeks? 2 weeks notice? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, Titan FC guy, I think he has he's on a 3-fight roll or 2-fight winning streak, 3-fight winning streak. From Titan, or 2 from Titan FC, 1 from Absolute Fighting. He's fought 3 times this year already: April, June, and August. He's not cold. He's pretty warm, right? He's ready to go. And taking it on, of course, Tim Means, who we all know about Tim Means. He actually is coming off a weird USADA suspension thing, right? He's the one that was busted, which is weird, and then he got exonerated. I don't know the entire story about it, but it didn't make any sense.
That one. Yeah, he definitely has. He's got a case currently against the supplement company that they was flagged for USADA. So he's got a lot of pending legal stuff that's going forward, and he's just happy to get in there and get this fight and get back in the mix, get back in the cage. So.
Yeah, and Tim Means, he's a grinder, honestly. And he's durable. He'll take some shots, man. He's eating some shit and still came out on top. So actually start here with Dave, man. What do you think about this fight?
I like the fight based on, like I was just saying, Tim Means getting back in there. He's had that unfortunate setback with USADA, a lot of legal stuff going on with the supplement company, which he's pursuing a case in which he's gone about saying, it really fucked him out of a whole lot of money. He had to, take on a job where he was a welder, I think, making $9 an hour. So I just have a ton of respect for Tom Vaughn, trained guys down at Fit NHB. A lot of my buddies have trained under Tom Vaughn here in Albuquerque, so he's a guy that's kind of, opposite. There is Greg Jackson Wink, everybody knows about that, but there's Fit NHB, in which Carlos Conde used to be affiliated with them. Ray Borg trains out of that camp, so ton of respect for the Tom Vaughn guys. I think just going into this fight, Tim Means, with just the frustration and just animosity, everything going in, I think he's looking to go in there and get himself a fight of the night bonus, knockout of the night bonus. And I think he had a nice little interview with your guys, MMA Junkie George, I think earlier this week, in which he kind of explained the legal case of pertaining to the supplement company and elaborated more about that. So I think Tim Means has never been finished, so I doubt Saba Homasi is the guy to do it. I think with that circumstances being, and Tim getting back in there with everything that's happened, I think Tim goes in there and shreds him. So I think it's going to be an exciting bout. It's positioned good on the card. I think it'll kick things up pretty nicely. And yeah, much respect to Tim Means. I'd like to see him get a nice win here. Absolutely.
Yeah, and Homasi's a 6-footer with hands, right? His last 3 fights are finishes, TKO finishes, knockout finishes. But Tim Means 6'2". He's got, I believe, he's got the reach advantage, and he knows how to use it for the most part. So it's not like Homasi's gonna be he's not like a super high level striker, right? He still has a lot to learn, I think, in that game. But he is a heavy hitter. He will punch real hard. So it's a challenge, but it's not one that's enough for me to be like, oh yeah, Homasi's gonna come in on his debut in 2 weeks and knock him out. It's gonna be I think it's gonna be Tim Means as well, coming out on top. Jesse, who you picking?
Yeah, I mean, it's obvious by pretty much the deck is stacked against Homasi. I mean, coming in, light replacement, first fight in the UFC, basically. I mean, it's just so many things, in that, bad luck column, or bad circumstances. And then you've also got a pissed off, hungry Tim Means.
Yes,
so,
sir.
I mean, it just can't get any worse for this guy. I mean, he's literally going to have a hellstorm coming at him in that first round. And I just don't think he's going to be able to survive that. I don't think many people could survive that. That anger and that aggression that Tim Means is going to have. Just the frustration of, losing out on money, having to grind out for money for his family and all that stuff. I mean, this is going to be almost like, what do they call them, one of those exorcisms of just like all those demons, and it's just going to come out on poor Homasi, unfortunately. So you just have to go with Tim Means. I think it's going to, like Dave said, it's a great fight to start this card, and it's going to be exciting. And it's a perfect fight to transition from Cody Garbrandt to him, and as we go along, you're just going to see bigger names, better fights, better matchups. And it's just going to be a great night of fights, guys.
All right, next fight up on the main card, we get a welterweight scrap. A guy coming, actually undefeated guy, but he's also, I believe he is also late replacement, Mike Perry, if I'm not mistaken, also late replacement, taking on Hyung-Gyu Lim, the ace out of Torture House Korea. Last time we saw Lim, I believe Lim impressed pretty well, right? And his last fight was pretty crazy, right? And he fucking won in ridiculous. Okay, what was his last fight?
I think he got KO'd in his last fight. I think it was Neil Magny. Or no, he beat Magny, and then he has a win. But I think it's over a year ago, his last competition, though, right?
Yeah. Oh, he lost to Neil Magny in May of last year. Before that, he did knock the shit out of Takanori Sato, though. That was that one fight where it was like just nasty fucking elbows, and people were freaked the fuck out. Anyway, and again, now looking at that, coming off a loss, I wonder why this guy's in the main card. I'm assuming that because of exciting fight stuff. So here, kick it off here with Jesse. Here, what do you think about this fight, man?
You got to go with the experience of Hyung-Gyu Lim. I think he's just got the style, the nasty style, to really put it on Perry. I mean, if you saw the weigh-ins, what the hell was Perry doing? I mean, he did this like raw, like yell, like trying to like scare Lim, and Lim was like with his sunglasses, like total like chill, like whatever, man, like I'm just here to fight or whatever, So I think Perry's gonna be pretty amped up for this fight. I mean, he's got an opportunity to be on literally the biggest stage possible in the UFC to showcase his skills, and unfortunately, it's against Lim, and I think Lim's just gonna eat him alive. The pressure's gonna get to Perry more than likely. And Lim is just going to use those elbows, those nasty elbows that we saw that nasty clinch game that he has. You know, he's just a good, well-rounded fighter. I think he's well-rounded enough to really be one of those guys that you got to look out for. The more fights he gets, the better, more comfortable he gets. I think we're going to see better performances out of him, and I think that's why he's on the second fight on this fight card. I think this might be a showcase to see the future of that division with Lim.
All right, Dave, what do you think?
It's a total what the fuck fight for a main card. I'll tell you that. Mike Perry. I've looked into this guy. This fight, let's get this straight first and foremost. It's an 80-20 fight for Lim, absolutely.
Yeah.
With that said, I'm going Mike Perry, though. I've seen the guy's boxing. I've seen the guy get KO'd in boxing. So I think the guy shows an undefeated record in MMA, but I believe he's been KO'd in boxing with 16-ounce gloves. So somebody was showing me a video about that earlier. But I think just that alone, he's got like tons of KO, TKO wins. So I see at some point in this fight, Lim's going to become hittable, or he's going to be there to be hit, and I think Mike Perry lands a shot. I think he's super hyped, like Jesse said. I mean, he came out crazy as a son of a bitch at the weigh-in. So he's a young guy, 24 years old, UFC debut. I think he shows up. I think he actually catches Lim and shocks everybody. I mean, he's on the main card. I don't know how this fight got thrown on the main card, but here we are. Lim's still a younger guy too, 31 years old. He just hasn't competed in a while. Fights like that where there's competitors or there's guys that's been out for a year, I know they're going to be fresh, but I just think Mike Perry has that little something about him where I think he's going to get in there and he's probably going to land something big. So I'd like to see that play out. But I got Mike Platinum Perry by a knockout or TKO in this fight.
I think this was probably going to be the start of the event, right? But then they moved Carlos Condit off this card.
Yeah.
And that's why these two moved up, right?
Yeah, it's interesting how they did that too, because it's like, previously unknown Mike Perry and then Lim coming off a year layoff, so they just kind of last minute replaced this one here. But
but think about it. Who else are you going to put in that position? I mean, you want to sell the fight pass, you can't move Neil Magny, and then you have one hell of a fight with Garbrandt. As
that's the one that move up.
Yeah, that fight.
But then what do you have as the main event?
Look, man, here's the thing. Time out. Fuck FS1. You know why? Because that contract's going to end soon. You know who's going to bid for that shit? ESPN, NBC, ABC, everybody. It's going to be a bidding war, and FS1's going to lose. I promise you that. They're not staying on FS1. Okay? So that's one thing. All right. Not to mention this whole moving shit to FS2. Fuck Fox Sports. I said that shit.
Hey,
I'm just pissed because I missed way too many good prelim fights because those assholes go to FS2 instead of knocking out that NASCAR bullshit. All right. Just
buy the higher level, the higher tier of cable, man.
I refuse. All right. I'm unplugging this shit as soon as I can.
How are you not gonna watch Dodgeball on ESPN Ocho? Come on.
Just like that. Anyway, sorry, Dave. What were you saying?
Oh no, just to close the Lim and Perry fight. I think it's Lim's USA debut. He's never fought in the States before, so it's the first time he's competing in the States.
Yeah, which for anyone that thinks that doesn't mean anything, it means a lot. Okay, especially the Brazilians. Just saying what it is. All right. Moving on here to the next fight on the main card. We got a hell of a fight, man. All right, these two guys. Oh, by the way, I'm picking Lim because he's a bad motherfucker. All right. But if Perry wins, just like Dave's saying, I don't know the guy. So if he wins, I'd be legit as fuck. If he's really a heavy hitter like that, I would love to see a crazy knockout. And
then his post-fight speech will be, or whatever he says after the fight, say he knocks him out. That'll be the funniest shit to come too if it plays out that way.
I would love to hear Lim say, "I love my bitches." All right, if Lim does that shit, I'm gonna lose my mind. All right. Anyway, next fight up, Rick the Horror Story. We all know him, and of course, Cowboy Cerrone. We know these guys. 170-pound fight. Of course, all the talk this whole week was, "Hey, Cerrone, who you want to fight next? After this fight?" He's like, "Oh, I want Eddie Alvarez." Like, shut up, dude. Stop. Just stop talking. It's not gonna happen. All right.
Why not?
Anyway, well, why? He's just a 170 fight. Why the fuck would you give him a title shot?
Hey, man, he beat Eddie Alvarez before. Might as well.
Long time ago. I don't want to hear that shit. Nobody wants to hear that shit. That was first fight. Yeah. Okay, whatever. Anyway, Anyway, all right. We know the story on both of these guys. Okay, it's pretty cut clear. Cowboy Cerrone is one of the most exciting guys, and Rick Story is gonna give him a fucking fight, and it's gonna be a good one. It's gonna be exciting, potential steal the show kind of fight, in my opinion. If not this one, the Coleman could steal it. But it's a hell of a fight, man. Dave, what are you picking, man? One of your boys is in this one.
Yeah, if you want to pick fight of the night or submission of the night, knockout of the night, it's going to likely occur in this bout here. I think, yeah, both guys are 4-1 in their last 5. Great, excellent matchmaking. I mean, when I heard this fight was announced, it's perfect for Cerrone as he steadily climbs the 170 rankings because I think they have Rick Story just outside of the top 10. I think he's ranked number 11. So he's healthy, he's ready. As far as I know, he's MMA Lab Phoenix guy, right? Correct, Eddie?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, Rick Story moved here not too long ago, actually.
Okay, so it's pretty big. I mean, 19th UFC fight for Rick Story, 22nd fight for Donald Cerrone. So combined, these two guys, they fought everybody. You name them, they fought them. I think Donald Cerrone is pretty confident going into this bout. I think he knows that Rick Story is going to bring it. I think Donald shines when there's guys that go in there that are fearless against him. I think that brings out the best Donald. And at the same time, it could present opportunities where Rick Story could land some killer body shots or land something big. So definitely fireworks in this bout here. I think I think Rick Story has he ever been finished, or the only way he's been finished is by a decision, correct?
The only way he's lost, I think, is I want to say he's been finished, dude. I can't remember who.
Did Amaya took him out?
Let me find out real quick.
I think besides that, he's never been TKO'd or KO'd, so it'll be fucking sick as shit if Donald Cerrone is going to be able to go out there and finish Rick Story, because it was the same talk going into the Patrick Cote fight that the guy's never been finished. Donald goes in there looking super sharp, so I think that's going to continue. That trend will definitely continue in this fight. I think Donald's going to show up big. Yeah, it's just, what is he, 11-2 in his last 13 fights with only the 2 losses to RDA. So, I mean, it seems like Donald beats everybody except for Rafael Dos Anjos. So just in that alone, I can't pick against him. Rick Story is a tough son of a bitch. I think he's going to bring a lot of body shots, and he's going to kind of, present some problems for Cowboy, in which, like I said, it's going to just bring out the best in both guys, and we're going to see a war. Neither guy's going to, they're going to go out on their shield absolutely in this one. So look forward to this possibly being a fight of the night candidate, and definitely going with Donald Cerrone. I'd go with Donald by decision in a war. How about that?
Yeah, no, and Jesse's right. Rick Story was finished, only been finished one time, and that was Damian Maia by neck crank, which I don't know if anyone trains jiu-jitsu, and people were like, oh, what a bitch, you didn't even get choked out. Neck cranks fucking hurt. Fuck you if you don't tap it.
Can you imagine Damian Maia with that grip strength? It probably felt like his head was going to come off.
Dude, neck cranks suck ass, okay? You're sore shit the next day.
Isn't he the one that got his nose blown out by Maia? He put on the neck crank or something, and then his nose popped.
Oh, maybe it might be it.
But I think a lot to do with Rick Story's injury, his neck injury, probably came from that when that happened in that fight. Because Rick Story, it took him a year to actually heal up and get wildly back in there. So I like that he's healthy in this fight. So it'd be a fucking crazy scenario if Donald finishes him in any way, but like I said, I see it going in a decision, but straight war on both sides.
I'm on you. I'm with that as well. I think this is going to be, no one's getting finished in this one, I don't think, unless it's just a super lucky catch, but I think it's going to be super bloody, fucking bruised to shit, Cowboy win by decision, and a close decision too. I don't think it's going to be fucking clear decision winner. I think it's going to be a split. But again, I do agree with you. It's going to be a fun war to watch. For us, not as much fun for them after the fight, because it's going to suck painful shit all the time. Anyway, Jesse, who are you picking?
I got Cowboy, and I actually, I'm picking him by a large margin. I think he's going to finish Rick Story. I think he might, here's me, the California guy, picking Cowboy to win decisively. But I think he's actually going to finish him with a submission. I think Story has he falls into the wrestler type category once he sees he kind of sees the storm coming, he tries to slow down his opponents by grinding them up against the cage, taking them down, and trying to do damage that way. That's not the way you want to go with Cowboy. Cowboy is a legit, really, really good ground game dude. He knows how to submit you very many different ways, and I could see that happening very easily. I think Story's gonna get in there, start getting in a war with them, and try to take him down. Forget who he's fighting, and I think he's going to get submitted.
Yeah, it's very possible. And look, it's if Cowboy does win this by impressive fashion, right? Again, people have been asking him all week. Dave, you go first. do you think Cowboy would be a candidate for a title shot at 155?
Yeah, and also to add to it, I will answer your question afterwards.
Yeah.
Is do not forget that I'm really picking Donald in this fight for another reason. It's his last fight on his contract, so
He's a
I
free
think Donald.
agent.
Yeah, I think Donald's gonna go out. You know, Donald's gonna bring it. So, but yeah, aftermath. I mean, yeah, he said he's gonna have a meeting with Dana and Ari and them, and possibly set up a whole new contract for him going forward and pay the man. I guess there was like riffraff about him being inconsistent or underpaid or all that stuff. I mean, as far as I know, Donald Cerrone is one of the more well-paid guys in the UFC currently right now. So I think there is a possibility that he has a case for a 155-pound title shot. He goes in there, finishes Rick's story. Like you guys are saying, he does have that win over Eddie Alvarez. So we know Bisping's fighting Dan Henderson from a fight from 15 years ago. So if they want to raise sparks for that one, hey, that's very possible. And then we know what we're getting into when we got Donald Cerrone on the docket, especially in a high-profile bout. So, but he's steadily climbing the 170 ranking. So it's kind of interesting what position that. Well, Donald's put himself in a great position. Let's put it this way, because he's already stated his case at 170. He can kind of jump back to 55, and we know he hasn't lost to anybody other than named Rafael Dos Anjos in a couple years. So I think he's got several options going forward. So definitely a title shot possibly could be in the mix for Cerrone post 202. Absolutely.
Jesse, what do you think?
I agree. I mean, pretty much that should seal it for everybody that thinks that he doesn't deserve a title shot.
Mm-hmm.
Just knowing that his last performance against Patrick Cote, I mean, going back to that performance, nobody has done that to Patrick Cote. Nobody. I mean, and nobody figured going forward. And the way Donald just manhandled him and just pieced him up, it was just incredible. I agree with Dave. I think we're going to see a great performance out of Cowboy, and he's going to go into those Zuffa offices, or not even Zuffa, UFC offices, and he's going to just hey, with his cowboy hat, Budweiser in hand, and just stack up the paper, and then he's going to go hit that lake, ready to enjoy the money that he got paid, and just wait for that title shot again. The other thing, basically the reason why he moved up is because there was no shot of him getting another title shot at 155 as the champion was at the time. Like we said, he lost him twice. There was no way he was going to see another title shot. So, hey, run out your contract and rack up some wins at a different division, and then once the title changes and you keep winning, it's an easy sell to say, hey man, this guy's been doing good at a different division. It's stacked over there. Let's bring him back down and give him a title shot. He's been doing great. I mean, it's just beautiful game planning by Cowboy to just keep himself in the mix, not keep fighting people that could knock him off. Cutting himself down at 155. Depleting himself. You can just tell he's a happier Cowboy, better fighter. Just all around, it's a better Cowboy.
Yeah, and look, the thing about Cowboy is he keeps people interested in seeing him fight. I mean, who else does? Not a lot of people do that, right? That's not like a huge fucking top one, number one, number two in the division, and in the higher division on top of that. But Cowboy's the kind of guy that's like, look, man, you want to watch me fight, win or lose, you want to watch me fight. So he's got to walk into the UFC offices like, hey, fuck you, pay me. That's kind of his attitude's got to have to be. So and I don't know if they'll pay him as much as they want to, but I think they'll give him a little bit of a raise, I think. And a lot of guys have negotiated title shots in the contracts. Cowboy is not an idiot. He could do that too. So it's very possible. All right, moving on to the co-main event of the evening. We don't get number one and number two, matched up for a contendership very often. So it's nice to see it here in the light heavyweight division. Number one ranked Anthony Rumble Johnson against number two ranked Glover Teixeira. Hey, look, man, it's hands. Hands are flying. People, it's power, it's hands, and it's not John Jones. So that's one thing, right? And we never got to see Rumble Jones, which sucks. We might get to see it later on. Who knows? But which, by the way, it's fucking hilarious at the press conference. They keep asking Rumble. Okay, yeah, but the first question was like, who do you think you get next, Jones or DC? And he goes, well, I'm focused on Glover Teixeira, so I gotta beat them first, right? Whatever. Okay, yeah, but who do you think you get next, Jones or DC? Like, motherfuckers. Did you not hear the man? Like, chill the fuck out, right? But, it's the fuck? Oh, all right, that's weird. Anyway, I got a weird text message on my phone. I had to laugh about it. But anyway, Rumble, Glover, hands are flying. And Rumble's one of those guys like one shot drop, right? He could drop it with one hit. Glover Teixeira could actually tune people up. We've seen it a couple times, not very often, but it's a couple times. He does have that jiu-jitsu game. Rumble does have that. He does have wrestling. Don't get it twisted. He can wrestle, but they both prefer to stay standing, and I think that's what's going to happen in this fight. I'm taking Rumble knockout though. I think Rumble gets a knockout, probably like end of the first round, early second round. Gets a knockout win, gets a DC fight, and probably gets wrestled the fuck by DC again, I think. But let's get past tomorrow before we start talking about that. Before what's next. So Rumble, knockout. Jesse, who you got?
Man, already cashing that check. I don't think it's that simple, man. I think Glover has got lots of weapons, lots of ways to win, and I think he actually has more ways to win than Johnson. I think Johnson, he's got to put those hams on you, and that's pretty much the only way he's going to win. We don't see him using his wrestling. We don't see him using any other tactic, really. And I think Glover has all that put together. I mean, his clinch game is exactly what we wanted to see against John Jones. Mm-hmm. And John Jones, ripped apart his shoulder, but I don't think Anthony Johnson is going to be able to tactically do anything like that to him. I think he's going to get eaten up in that clinch game, and I think Glover's just going to wear on him, just use that nasty grinding style that he likes to use, be in the pocket, be in his face, and I don't think he's going to let him get off those big, heavy shots. I think it's going to be a long and painful night for Johnson, and I think Teixeira takes this fight.
Damn. All right. Hey. Yeah. Look, I'm not mad at it either. I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing a fresh matchup here instead of a rematch, right? Glover against DC would be interesting to me. Yeah, Dave, who you picking?
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, it's kind of the way that it factored into my decision on who I thought would win this bout, because I definitely would like to see Glover and DC meet up at some point as a fresh matchup. But no knock to Anthony Johnson. We all know he's going to bring, the first round's going to be hell. I think if he gets past the first round, it favors Glover. It's a 3-round fight, so I think it's going to get real interesting real quick. The major factor in this bout is, Glover Teixeira's never been finished. I mean, can Anthony Johnson be the guy to finish him? I think Glover's only lost by decision like 3 or 4 times. So, but his only losses are to John Jones and randomly Phil Davis, if people have forgot.
Yeah.
But, he's gone 5 rounds with Johnny Bones with half a shoulder. So I just think, like Jesse said, I agree with him. I think Glover's got more ways to win, whether it's in the clinch. I mean, he's not like the most super athletic guy that's gonna run around and pick his shots. He's a bruiser. He's gonna come forward. I guess if he does survive that first round, I mean, I'm definitely gonna go with Glover, but I wouldn't be shocked if Anthony Johnson catches Glover, because I mean, that's his game. I think he's got better cardio, much improved cardio now. I think that's what killed him against DC. His cardio just went to complete fucking empty, and that was it. I think it's his 18th UFC fight for Anthony Johnson. Nearly all of his fights have been in the UFC, besides his little hiatus when he left and came back. And I think the only time he's been finished is by Josh Koscheck, right?
Oh yeah, I think so.
Yeah, cutting down to 170.
Yeah, so when long ago, like years and ages ago, when he did, lose to Josh Koscheck, I mean, that's not the Rumble Johnson now. I mean, there's definitely not a chance that I don't think Glover can submit him. I mean, without hurting him. I think the fight's going to be mostly contested on the feet, but I think Glover, he just has something like, I don't know. I think he's got it though. I think it's his last chance too at getting possibly to that title shot. He's 36 years old. So I think he's going to really, has a great game plan for Anthony Rumble, and I think he outlasts him, and I think grinds out an odd decision here. I think it's going to go all the way 3 rounds. Glover Teixeira taking that win.
All right, now Andrew Reed taking Rumble. By the way, impressed that you're still with us, Andy, because it's late as fuck where you're at. All right, we're at the main event, ladies and gentlemen. This is the fight we've been waiting for quite a bit. Look, the first one wasn't supposed to happen. It's supposed to be your boy RDA in there with Conor McGregor. We got the king of the featherweights against, one of the baddest motherfuckers at 155, in Nate Diaz. Conor McGregor against Nate Diaz, part 2, the rematch. First of all, just of course, everyone knows the story. RDA pulls out because he bruised his foot like a little bitch, and he fucking had to. Sorry, that was your benefit.
My goodness.
He did not break his foot. All right, all he needed was ice and Motrin. I agree with Conor on that. Ice and aspirin. Fucking get in there.
Here we go. Okay. Wait. So now you're jumping on Conor's nuts to insult another guy and then you're just gonna crap all over him. Go ahead.
It would only work if you were wearing your RDA hat, but I did it anyways because fuck it. Anyway, but no, seriously though, RDA breaks his foot, injures his foot, has to pull out of the fight, which actually in hindsight sucks because he missed out on a giant payday and then he gets finished by Eddie Alvarez. Like, damn, dude, that's a shitty roll of the dice there.
Imagine that. Imagine if we had that fight and he had knocked out Conor, or Conor had knocked him out.
Still gets paid.
Man.
Yeah. Yeah, he still gets paid though. And I don't know what his contract is right now, but I doubt it's anywhere near what these guys are getting to fight. But yeah, regardless, he pulls out. Nate Diaz comes in on 11 days' notice, and weathers the storm in the first round, hurts Conor in the second. Conor for some fucking reason, because he was hurt probably, takes Nate Diaz down, and a black belt in jiu-jitsu, high level black belt in jiu-jitsu, finds a way. Rear naked choke, second round win. It was insane, right? Insanity. Now we get two guys who are still fighting at 170. Conor McGregor's coaches try to talk him out of this fight. I mean, supposedly. Nobody really understands why Conor wanted this immediate rematch, right? But if most fighters will tell you they get a loss, they want that one back. And Conor McGregor losing on 11 days to an 11 days notice, skinny fat guy, just like he was saying about Nate, it sucks. I mean, I'm sure it ate at him forever. So this fight's still at 170. It's not at 155 like everyone thought it was going to be. It's at 170. Both guys are at full camp. As far as we know, they're both healthy, but both guys are in a full camp. We've seen the craziness already. The UFC, the 202 pre-fight presser, where Conor shows up late, Nate leaves early, and then there's water bottles thrown by professional fighters. By the way, now that I think about it, pro fighters threw water bottles instead of hands. Got kind of stupid, but anyway. Then we get, the weigh-ins today where it looks like Conor flinches again. And look, I thought he did. I'm not sure. There's different angles of the video. There's different opinions. Look, it doesn't matter. They're fighting tomorrow, okay?
Yeah.
And it's gonna be a crazy fight no matter what you think. Because a high-level Nate Diaz on a full camp is a killer. A high-level Conor McGregor on a full camp is cerebral. Cerebral is the word? Yeah, cerebral. The dude is a smart motherfucker. I gotta say that. You know what I mean?
Machine from the X-Men, Cerebro?
I don't know. I can't say cerebral. All right, English is my second language, bitch. All right, I got some setbacks, motherfucker. Anyway, I know. But regardless, all right. Look, Nate can't talk. I can't either. I don't give a fuck. That's why I'm a fan. Anyway, but regardless, look, Conor's a smart dude. He finds a way. He's very I don't know how to explain it. He's technical as fuck, really. You know what I mean? In the first fight, when his coach is telling him, hey, show him the left hand and come up with the uppercut, that shit was landing. That uppercut was landing, and it was landing hard. Nate was, moving away from the left hand, and that uppercut was there every single time. If you think about it, if Nate doesn't hurt Conor, maybe Conor hurts, and finishes him in the second round. Maybe Conor hurts him with the uppercut because it was landing, and it was landing hard, right? So, you never know. Meanwhile, Nate Diaz coming in. We know Nate Diaz, high level ground game. The striking's there. He's a high level. You train with high level, strikers. Say whatever you want about Joe Schilling, whatever. But Andre Ward, all those guys, has a team. Nick Diaz on his team. That means a lot. Jake Shields on his team. Gilbert Melendez on his team. Those are very close, tight knit guys. And he's just high level everywhere, and he's incredibly experienced. I mean, high level of experience. He's fought everybody, right? So we're gonna get two, just you can almost say titans going in there with a lot more on the line for Conor McGregor in this one, and a big giant payday for Nate Diaz, and a lot of confidence knowing that he just beat this guy in 11 days. He took the guy that was supposed to be the king of the UFC and beat his ass and choked him out. So we all know it's a half and half on everybody. Half people are on Nate Diaz's side. Everyone, they have their half on Team McGregor. It's a crazy fight. Let's start off here with Jesse, man. Who wins this fight?
It's
over. All right, Dave. I'm kidding now. Go ahead. I don't know.
What a fight, man. What a fight. Yeah. I mean, seriously, grab everything you need once the Cowboy Cerrone fight starts, and just enjoy those last three fights. These last three fights are going to be great. No matter what, they're going to be great. But this fight in particular, I mean, to just tell you how much this has reached out. My father-in-law, who doesn't know anything about boxing, doesn't know about anything about fighting. I was talking to my brother-in-law today, And my father-in-law, chimes in, oh, hey, yeah, I was reading that, Connor's going to get beat up. And I just kind of looked at him and go, what? Did you really just say Connor? It just blew my mind. Somebody that I would never expect to know about fighting, even anybody in the sport, is commenting on how this fight's going to go. That should tell you the reach of this fight. But to me, I think exactly what you said, Eddie. I think what Conor McGregor had is his striking. And his striking was obviously, it's obviously at a high level. His uppercuts, his overhand left that he likes to put people away with. He just was fighting a bigger guy that was absorbing those hits. He put a lot of damage on Nate Diaz. He definitely did. And Nate Diaz can say all he wants that, I took his best shots. It didn't hurt. It hurt him. Because we saw in the fight, like you said, he was moving away. He was trying to get away from those uppercuts, and he kept eating them. The only problem was Conor just ran out of gas. And then started getting popped in the mouth. Anybody who starts getting popped in the mouth and slapped around like that, once you threw some of your best shots that would put out any 145 or 155er, it gets kind of tough. It gets kind of tough to stay there mentally and to keep going. I don't like how the fight ended. I think that his think about it. You look at his jiu-jitsu, it was good enough to defend him a little bit. But once he was tired and discombobulated from getting hit, he just, he had nothing left. And to everybody that says, oh, see, he got choked out very easily. Yeah, dude, let me punch you in the face a couple times, get you really tired, and then sink in a choke. Trust me, you're going to fall for that choke very easily. I think there's a lot more to expect out of this fight. I think it's going to be a really interesting fight. I think Diaz, on a full camp and motivated, like he came out against Michael Johnson, is one of the best fighters out there. Conor McGregor, on a camp, healthy, and, focused on one opponent, I think we're going to see the best fight possible. I'm picking Conor. I think that all those things combined, I think he's got a strategy in place. As long as he has the gas tank and the ability to hit Diaz, that's what's going to win him the fight. All these people saying that it's going to go to decision, that's the only way he can win, I think that's the worst possible idea. Because if you take Nate Diaz into deep waters, you're not going to drown him. He's going to drown you. He's got the cardio to go for days and days and days. That's what the Diaz brothers are known for. You just gotta go after him like Josh Thompson. You gotta go after him, put him away quickly, or just hurt him and jump on top of him, TKO him or something. And I think that's Conor McGregor's idea. The only bad thing about this whole ordeal is his mental state. As long as he keeps his cool and doesn't think about the whole press conference thing and let that sink into his brain and makes him go crazy and blow his load, and he just kind of stays the course, stays efficient with his punches, just does everything as he's supposed to be doing, he can win the fight. If he gets crazy, he's going to get choked out and knocked out. One of the two. It's going to be a finish, one way or another. But I'm choosing Conor McGregor.
All right, and look, and the jiu-jitsu thing, because I want to make a point about that. Conor McGregor's jiu-jitsu is not a white belt level. And all the jokes were out there that he was at Nate Diaz's Sunday morning jiu-jitsu class with all the kids and his little white belt and shit. No, but Conor, look, you don't get to the UFC and start a big star like that without being good in jiu-jitsu, right? He may not be a black belt, but he's serviceable. Hell, he defended remember he got taken down by Nate Diaz? And he swept him. He swept him, and then he defended the guillotine when he was hurt. Remember, Joe Rogan was screaming his head off, "Watch the guillotine! Watch the guillotine!" He defended that. That was a defense. It wasn't that that he was just out of it completely and he was trying to just do whatever. He defended that pretty well. So McGregor's jiu-jitsu is not fucking white belt level. Not to mention he just brought in Dennis. What's his first name? Dylan Dennis. Yeah. He brought in Dylan Dennis, high level jiu-jitsu player, very high level. So it's not like he's been sitting on his ass not training, right? Not to mention not being on UFC 200 bought him a couple more months, or I think a month or so to train more. So again, Conor McGregor, very, very smart man, very smart fighter. And it's just gonna be I'm excited as fuck for this fight. You know what I mean? So it's gonna be crazy. Dave, who do you think wins this fight?
Well, I'll tell you what, guys. This fight absolutely is not ending in a decision. So let's start with that. I think the main thing, the main actual point of the way Conor wins this fight is the key word is game plan. If he game plans and he does everything correctly, like Jesse said, he doesn't, go in there and fight with emotion. As we all know, emotions have been running pretty hot in Vegas lately. So if Conor is, able to shake that off and just kind of, stay focused and remain confident in there, I think he's got a good chance to possibly beat Diaz, but it's not going to be via decision. It'll be via knockout, TKO. I don't see it going on in the later rounds. I think both guys got definitely great cardio. I think the counter shots are key for Nate Diaz. Look for the left on both sides. The left on both sides will be the interesting factor in this fight. So I think Conor learned a lot in that loss. A lot of people don't give, like you said, a lot of credit to Conor's ground game, but in that first round he did end up with top position at the end of that round. So, and that was before a lot of other heavy shots landed, in which Nate actually was pretty technical in finishing Conor in their last fight. If you check it out, I think Luke Thomas or somebody had a great breakdown on it, and super technical stuff from Nate Diaz. So the fight goes to the ground. I think Nate will potentially put the fight in position in the ground and put Conor in some danger on the ground. I think we're going to see a little bit more ground attack in this fight. The clinch dominance, I guess if Nate's able to, I think he implemented a little bit in the first fight. If he's able to do that early and put a hurting on Conor, I think he's more prepared for that this time around. But like you said, Dylan Dennis, if Dylan Dennis is confident that Conor's okay with him on the ground, then I like to see it. If the fight goes there, I want to see what Conor can do, whether if he's in a top position or if he's defending, because we all know Nate Diaz is super high level. So, but like I said, I'm gonna go back to game planning. It's basically where Conor's in the stage of his career now, where it's like everything that he did before, it's been completely retooled. He's basically game planning for an opponent now, as opposed to just kind of doing his thing up at SBG and having a bunch of yes men surrounding him. So with a bunch of guys that he's working with now in place, been a long, grueling camp, 18 to 20 weeks. So hopefully it wasn't super taxing on him. I think he took a couple weeks off leading up to this main event. So I think that's going to bode well for him. Where I see the fight going, I'm basically 61-39 for Nate Diaz in this fight. I think Conor's got a few ways to win the bout early. I don't think it's going to end in the first round. I think it's either going to be the second or third round. But I'm looking for Nate Diaz to probably finish the fight by submission. I think he hurts him. I think McGregor probably fights a little too emotional. I think he's gonna somewhat get to him. It's been a crazy week for him. It's the complete role reversal of the last fight, and I love that the Diaz brothers in this camp are taking advantage of that. They're just like, fuck this guy. He didn't show up 30 minutes late. We already beat him on 10 days notice. So they're putting Conor in a place where he's never been before, and in the PR and all that stuff. So that's why you've seen the reaction that Conor, everything that unfolded. So besides the laptop throwing, Starbucks throwing, whatever that, all the antics aside, looking forward to a fantastic main event. Not knocking Conor, like I'm not a Conor fan, don't get me wrong, and I'm not necessarily a Diaz fan, but like I said, 61-39 for Nate Diaz. Look for a fantastic showdown in the main event tomorrow.
Yeah, definitely. And look,
you know what? And to add to what Dave was saying, I totally left that out. We hear the rumblings that he spent $300,000 on this camp. That's Mayweather type stuff, And to think, I really think that him and Mayweather have become more buddies than anything. I think he's learning a lot from Mayweather and how it has to be about him and his opponent, and it just has to be a concentrated attack. It has to be such like Dave was saying, a disciplined game plan that you have to stick to. There's no deviation. There's nothing else you have to worry about except this game plan that is going to work against this opponent, and that's it. What got him before was his talent. He's a talented guy, Conor. But just willy-nilly saying, oh yeah, I'll fight that guy. Yeah, whoever. Oh, he dropped out. Yeah, I'll take the next guy. That was working for him until he got up against somebody that has the skill that Nate Diaz has, the toughness. And I think the other thing too is that you have to think about it. He was gonna fight a guy at 155. So he was a little overweight, thinking that his power was going to be good. And I heard a lot about this, that he didn't do the road work. He didn't work out his cardio for that fight either. He just kind of bulked up and trying to make the 170 weight. He didn't do that extra cardio to get his cardio up. Now he's filled up a little bit. He's filled out the right way. He's got the right diet regimen around himself. He's got George Lockhart really putting the fuel into him perfectly great. and I think we're going to see the best performance, win or lose. I mean, like I said, I pick Conor, but win or lose, I think we're going to see the best performance out of both guys. I think both guys can hang their hat on having the best fight out there. I mean, this is going to draw a lot of eyes, and it's definitely going to be worth the wait and all this time that we've waited for this rematch, which was quick, but I think it's just perfect what we're going to get.
Yeah, and go ahead.
No, it's just like I was saying, it's just Conor being complacent with all his training. I mean, he's changed things up, and I think it's going to be beneficial for him in this fight. So I think the long, grueling camp could kind of hurt him, but I think he's done the necessary rest and leading up to the fight. And like Jesse said, he's got improved cardio, and he's not going to be able to get in there and just kind of just lose control. He's got to be super patient, and if he's going to beat Nate Diaz, it's probably going to take place in the early rounds.
Dave,
so.
You're about to get robbed or something, yo.
I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but if it's something where Conor does blow the waters off the Nate Diaz or knocks the shit out of him in the first round, I mean that's gonna just open the floodgates for 50 different scenarios, whether it's him fighting Nick Diaz or him fighting somebody else in the near future, and putting the 145 title on the back burner, which it's been for God knows how long now, and 155 scenario. So yeah, just that alone, I mean, just with Conor in an impressive fashion, we know that it's gonna spark just the king of the UFC basically again, and then we'll see where Dana stands on that, because Dana went from saying, oh, we're gonna fine these guys and they're gonna be penalties, and then all of a sudden I hear today that it's like, oh, okay, yeah, just forget about that, we ain't gonna do that anymore.
Here's the thing, dude. Dana White was happy as fuck that shit happened.
You said it, Eddie. You were like, he was like, no, Conor, don't do that. And inside he's like, yeah, ching, ching, ching. He just hears the money, coming in, flying in, all the pay-per-views. But you know what? Whoever wins this fight, if it's Conor, the next fight, it's got to be at EBI.
Oh, please.
That's where the next match should be.
I hope it happens. I really do. Now here's the thing. Okay. The last fight, Conor McGregor showed up confident, or he kept saying, I got a full belly. He's been eating steaks for breakfast and steaks for lunch and steaks for dinner, just steak all over the place and shit. Did not for a second think that added weight was going to fuck with his cardio. I mean, really, dude? You did not think that was going to fuck with you? Okay, that's one. Two, going in and throwing just bombs at a guy who can take damage as good as anybody or better was stupid. Okay, that was ego. That was his ego and arrogance going, I'm going to knock Nate Diaz out. No, you're not, motherfucker. You don't knock a Diaz brother out in the first round unless you get insane and fucking land a retarded shot. And even that doesn't happen very often, right? So.
And to close it off, guys, I want to bring this up. I know you guys will really like this one. I wish Fred was here to hear me talk about this, because I'd like to hear his take. A loss definitely doesn't hurt Nate Diaz as much as it hurts Conor McGregor in this fight.
It's a kick in the dick for Conor. To be honest with you.
Okay, so that's why it's like, Diaz is going to get paid. I'm one for fighters getting paid, and especially Diaz. He became a superstar, and he's been around. So I just wanted to throw that topic out there, because it's like, hey, it doesn't really affect Diaz. He's going to bring it. In my opinion, he's going to win the fight. But Conor's fucked in the loss completely. So we'll see what they do. Say it's a crazy knockout in like the first or second round.
Definitely. No, but and so in that first fight, it was just a lot of factors basically going against Conor McGregor. Now, yeah, Nate Diaz came off a boat in Cabo and won. Okay, so now we get two guys, full camp. But for once, Conor actually trained for a guy. For once, for a specific guy, said it himself. Brought in lanky southpaws, long southpaws, the guys that can hit and absorb shots. Dalen Dennis. The guy has prepared himself for Nate Diaz about as well as you can. However, it is not the same as fighting Nate Diaz. Not even close. Okay. Now Nate Diaz in a full camp. He's healthy. You saw him in the pre-fight or in the weigh-ins and shit. He was cut. The dude's in shape. He's ready to go. There's no flabby shit here at all. So we're gonna get, in my opinion, a monster fight. Two guys who are going in there to kill or be killed, like Diaz says all the time. Conor McGregor says it's gonna be a war. They dislike each other. I mean, it's pretty fucking odd. Look, first of all, Nate Diaz hates everyone he fights. For at least while they're about to fight. Until afterwards, I saw him, fist bump fucking Cowboy Cerrone on one of those embedded shows, okay? So, whatever. Anyway, my opinion, this fight, for Conor McGregor to win it, has to be in the first 2 to 3 rounds, I think. If we see this fight go to 5 rounds, it's not going to be a decision. It's going to be a Nate Diaz win. TKO decision doesn't, or TKO or submission doesn't matter. But it's gonna have to be on Conor to find a way to finish a Diaz brother, which is very hard to do. But he has the ability. I mean, he's a special guy. Say whatever you want about Conor, hate him or not. He's a special guy. He could definitely find a way. But I don't think it's going to happen. I think Nate Diaz is a survivor. He's one of the best out there to be able to survive. I mean, fucking got his leg chopped up by RDA like a motherfucker, and he was still, flipping him off and saying shit. Was getting beat up by Benson Henderson on the ground, was throwing up middle fingers. These guys are survivors. This is what they do this is their life, dude. This isn't a fucking job. This isn't to get paid. This isn't for checks. This is how they live. You know what I mean? So this is why they say kill or be killed. This is why, they fucking group up and, people call them, gang members and shit like that. Yeah, don't fuck with them. They're serious about this shit. This isn't a fucking game to them. This isn't a WWE promo to them. This is life. So,
ask Nurmagomedov, man.
Exactly.
Ask Nurmagomedov. Somebody else threw the coke at them or whatever, dropped some water on them. They turn around, see the Diaz brother and go, "What's up?" And the Diaz brother's like, "Oh, hey, what's up? Let's go." They don't care. They'll scrap whenever you challenge them.
Anybody, anytime. This is what they do. This is their life. So Nate Diaz.
That's why I
Nate Diaz. Nate Diaz TKO, 5th round. That's what I'm calling.
Damn, it's gonna go.
It's gonna be a long fight. 5th round. Diaz takes some TKO. Conor gasses out again. 5th round. I think. I mean, look, if it ends early, it's Conor by ridiculous knockout. But I think Diaz is gonna be able to survive all that shit. But anyway, that's my pick. What are you saying, Dave?
Yeah, no, that sounds like a war, Eddie. I can see it possibly playing out that way. I mean, if both guys are, the cardio's up to par and they're able to pick their shots and both are patient, which I think Conor will be. I mean, in the mix of all the shit that's gone down, I think he's going to fight a pretty patient fight. He's done, put 20 weeks in to game plan to beat this guy, and it's one of those things where it's like you rush into a rematch and it's the same guy in the same year in a short amount of time. It never bodes well for the guy who lost. So I'm kind of, against Conor somewhat in that fashion in this bout here, but the timing, the 300,000 devoted to his camp, and and everything that's put in place, I think he's done all the necessary things to win this fight. But another thing is just it's going to be interesting to what they do post fight. That's what I was going to say. Like all the animosity, all the shit that's building up. The last fight, at the end of it, they were pretty cordial. They're pretty respectful. Yeah. So I think at the end of this one, what do you guys think? You think there's possibly, we got a crazy, wild Nick Diaz running around, not being allowed into the weigh-ins, pretty pissed off. So if any sort of weird shenanigans shit goes on, I don't know if they'll be so respectful, I think, post-fight here. But you never know. Hopefully McGregor's respectful in a win. I see him being that way, but it could just be a complete fucking shit show where, it's some type of, like, I don't know, Mike Tyson, Holyfield ear bite off type shit. Maybe you never fucking know. I mean, the way shit's going this week, I mean, that's something where it's an interesting angle to be like, hey, after it's all said and done, say it is like the war you say you think it's going to be, Eddie, where it's a 5th round. I mean, I'd love to see the guys both, be pretty respectful in the end, especially if it's a battle like that takes place. So that's another thing to look at post fight, of course. So.
Yeah, and one thing a lot of people don't talk about is Nate Diaz has power as well. All right, he goes 50%, 30% on his punches, and then when he has you tired and hurt, those hundreds are coming, bitch, and it's gonna hurt. What are you saying, Jesse?
No, I think the one thing we do know about Conor, even in that embedded, the thing he was more pissed off about was that they didn't get a chance to square off, and for the fans, like that was his thing. If you look at that embedded, what was it, embedded number 5? He was just like, we could still go out there and, face off. He was pissed about not putting on the show that he wanted. And I think even in the Aldo fight, after the Aldo fight, he knocked him out. He went over, shook his hand, told him we could do it again. He's respectful. He talks the crap to, get you fired up, sell the pay-per-view, sell the fight, but he's all about the respect. He's talked about that a lot. He stays with his crew. He's loyal to his people. He likes loyalty. He likes the Diaz brothers because they like to fight, and they come to fight. He respects them in that aspect. And I think there's going to be a mutual respect out of this fight, whether it's a quick KO or a long, dragged-out fight. I think both of these guys are going to earn each other's respect one way or another.
Yeah, definitely. Good call.
All right, so on the YouTube comments here, Andrew Reed, Mike Jarvis taking Nate Diaz. I know Jody's taking Nate Diaz. Somebody named Bob96 says "fuck you," which is weird. Yeah, it's kind of weird. So a couple people picking Conor, and some guy named Zippy says Conor, I believe, will pull through. Nate doesn't have the technicality, which is a dumbass comment. Okay, if you think Nate Diaz doesn't have technicality, you haven't been watching fights very long, or you're just sucking.
Sir, you will now be blocked.
Yeah, you're blocked, motherfucker. Just kidding. Diffie, it's all good, dude. I get what you're saying, but there's no way. You can't say a Diaz brother is not technical. That's stupid as shit. Anyway, no offense. I'm just saying. It's the dumbest comment we've gotten in a very long time. Anyway, all right. So that's going to do it for us tonight. Again, fights are tomorrow. Someone was on here thinking that they were going to happen in 15 minutes. I'm like, dude, they're tomorrow. So, yeah, chill. Someone's getting excited. What's up?
Oh, no. Just shout out to our boy Henrik Wasmer from Combates. He was going to join us. He'll probably join us at a later time, so shout out to him. He's got to be the good dad, so, you know.
Yeah, dad duties come first,
Gotta
man.
handle business.
Hey, you know, let's just say this. In this world, mothers are important. Fathers are very, very important. So you got to do the dad job. Totally understand. Do your thing, man. All right, again, fight tomorrow night. The whole card's good. All right, it's not. It doesn't have the pedigree, quote unquote, that UFC 200 was supposed to have, and ended up being a shit show. This is gonna be a better, bigger card than UFC 200 easily, and it's gonna be fucking awesome.
And no yellow mat.
And no, thank you. That yellow mat drove me insane. That pissed me off so much. Anyway, follow Jesse at Spawat1983. Follow Dave at Dave's MMA Brief. I'm at Ela31. I'll be tweeting and all over the place during the event tomorrow. So you get at me on there. Get at these two guys, of course. I'll be watching as well. And fucking hold on to your asses, man. It's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be an awesome, awesome event. And the main event. Fuck, the last three fights, as Jesse was saying, get your shit together before that Cerrone Story fight. Because from that point on, you might lose your fucking mind. You probably will. I'm just saying.
Yep.
All right, guys. You guys have a good night. Thank everyone for watching. Shout out to Andy, Mike Jarbs, Jody, Ziffy, in the comment, Raul, everybody. Appreciate you guys watching. We'll catch you guys in the next one.
Peace.